Akadosh Boker Or, Masechet Shevuot, Daf Yomi, Daf Lametet Amud Aleph, 39a1. If you remember, we mentioned already that what's going to happen is Tanu Rabbanan. We learned in a Braita, right? This is on the bottom of Lamed Chet where it says, we're just starting the Braita again, where it says, Shevuat Adainim Af Hi Bilshona Neemra, which means that it's going to be said in any Lashon, which a person understands. It's going to be said this Shevuat Adainim. And Omrim Lo, what do we tell him? Heve Yodea, you have to know. Shekol HaOlam Kulo Nizda'zea B'sha'ah she'amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'Sinai Lo tisad Shem Hashem Lokecha Lashav. The entire world trembled, right? In other words, it's called an earthquake. The entire world trembled by Sinai when it was written Lo tisad et Shem Hashem Lokecha Lashav, right? So he says Kol ha'averot shebaTorah ne'emar b'hem v'nakeh. Not only that, not only did the entire world tremble when it says don't testify falsely in my name, even more than that, it says all the averot in the Torah, it's written v'nakeh. What does it mean v'nakeh? Hashem is going to be minakeh lashavim b'tshuva, meaning if you do teshuvah, Hashem will cleanse you. Kan, to do the Shevuot Sheker, ne'emar ki lo yenakeh Hashem et asher yisad shemo lashav, that he's not going to be minakeh. Velo od, and not only that, kol averot shebatorah, all the averot of the Torah nifraim mimenu, they're going to be paid back from the choteh himself, but not from his family. The kan, to do with somebody that swears falsely, mimenu mishpachto, they're going to take back from him and from his family. Shneimar b'zeh pasuk, al titen picha lachtit basarecha. Don't give your mouth, right, to cause your sin, right, your flesh, right, to become sinning. So he says, vem besaro el akrovo. What is besaro? The karov. Shneimar b'zeh pasuk, umi besarecha lo titalam. What does that mean? Do not hide yourself, right, from your flesh, right? The kol averot shebatorah nifraim mimenu. Not only that, all the avirot of the Torah, they're going to be paid back from him, and here it's going to be paid back from him and, right, the entire world. Shneimar, but it says in a pasuk, alo v'chachesh, which means, right, that they're going to be coming and swearing falsely, right, because of what's going on. Okay, this is all the different things that they're going to come, and they are going to pay back a person, right, if they're going to swear falsely, obviously. So says the Gemara, ve'ema ad da'avi lehu lechu lehu. So says the Gemara, why don't we come and we're going to say that all the Puranuyot, which are written, right, are only going to come because of all of these things, which means, because there in the Pasuk it said that he's going to get paid back from the entire world. It's going to be alo ve'chachesh. Chachesh, it's true, it's nishpal sheker, but it's also ve'ratzeach, ve'ganav, ve'naaf, meaning ni'ifa, right, gneva, right, it's going to be ritzicha. Maybe it's all of them. It says the Gemara lo sakadai. No, it's not because of that. Why? Dichtiv mipene Allah. Here we're talking about the Shevuot Sheker avla haaretz. The world was destroyed. The land was destroyed. What does that mean? The Churban came to the Aretz because of Shevuot Sheker. So obviously it's only because of this. I mean, even without the Retzicha and all those other things as well, right? Everything is as well, right? Everything has been the same. Uchtiv, and it's also written, Al ken te'eval haaretz ve'umlal kol yoshev bah. That because of that, the aretz was, that means basically the onish is to the entire world, right? He says that te'eval haaretz, right? Ve'umlal kol yoshev bah. Ve'chol ha'averot shebatorah yesh lo zechut tolino. Do you know that any other averah in the Torah, if a person has a zechut, they're going to wait to bring the puranut ad shnayim u'shusha dorot. Sometimes it could take 2 or 3 generations. However, here by Shevuot Sheker, nifraim mimenu laltar, it's going to be immediately. Shneimar, hotzetiha neum Hashem tzavakot, uba el bet haganav, el bet hanishba bishmi l'shaker, velane betoch beto vechilato, vetetza vet avanav. So again, this is somebody that's swearing falsely. Now we're going to come and take this pasuk, and we're going to actually dissect it, right? Because obviously that's what we always do, where we're going to come and we're going to take the pasuk and we're going to expound it. So it says like this: Hot setia, we're talking about the klala, is mashma immediately. Okay, so immediately it's going to come. Ubal beta ganav, you're going to come to the ganav, is gonev data briot. This person is stealing the data briot. She'en lo mamon etzel chavero, v'toano mashvio, because he doesn't have money by his friend. And he's going to come, he's going to say yes, and then he's going to make him swear and everything. Vel beta nishba bishmi l'shakel, and the klala is going to come to somebody that swears in my name falsely, Kimashmao, as we already said, that's nishba l'shaken. Velana b'toch beto, and it's going to be in his house. Vechilato, and it's going to destroy him. Right? That's again, it's going to be mechaleoto. Vetetza vetavana, אבל אמרת דברים שהם אש ומים מכלין אותן, שבועת שקר מכלין אותן. Meaning, you have etzim vavanim that even if it's going to be that esh umayim does not destroy it, here shevuat sheker will destroy it. Because when a person comes and he's going like, the avnei beto, right, the stones, right, they could become charred, they could become blackened, but it's not that they become completely destroyed. Here, mamash, shevuat sheker destroys even the avanim of the person's house. Like mamash, like that. Why? Because the person comes and he's going to swear falsely. So he says, Im Amad, if the guy comes and he says, Eni nishba, right, which means I don't want to swear, I want to pay. Potrino to miyad, meaning they come, and he says patur, right? Why? So he doesn't want to retract, right? So therefore he's going to have to pay. But if he says Areni nishba, that he wants to swear, so the people there that are sitting are going to be standing there, they're going to say, Suruna. Right? We have to remove ourselves from this person. Right? So now the question is, why is he also called a Rasha at the end of the day? If he's tovea somebody else, if you're the one in the Bedin and you're being tovea somebody else, meaning you're demanding somebody else, why in the world are you called a Rasha? But he says, so when they come and they make him swear, they're going to tell him, you should know, that we're not going to make you swear on your dat, on dat hamakom bedin. Moshe Rabbeinu shishpiat Israel, but that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did when he was mashpiat Israel. Amaleh, and he told them, "Deu shelo al datchem mashpiin otchem, el al dat hamakom val datenu shneimar velo yitechem levadechem." You remember we said that the reason why they had to do that was because if not, then they change everything. So, for example, they're going to swear by God. All of a sudden, they come and they say in their mind, their God is not Hashem, their God is another God. Or they're going to come and they're going to say, this is black. So he says, no, because I just said I call this white. You're going to call this black, and I'm going to call this white, and this I'm going to call black, right? And then I'm going to swear, yeah, this is white, and it's really 100% black. But no, because for me this is white. No, you're not swearing for you. You're swearing on that Hakadosh Baruch Hu and on that bedin. So therefore, it's not just that, because if not, yeah, exactly. Meaning that it's because if not, then everyone could just play games. You understand? Yeah, he gave him no, it doesn't work. You have to be swearing according to that which is actually happening over here. So now he comes and he says like this. What does that mean? These are the words of the Koret Tabri V'Ta'ala Azot. He says, Et Asher Yishno, all the people that are here. En li ela otan omdim al Har Sinai. Those are only the people which are actually standing by Har Sinai. Torot habayim v'gerim atidin l'tgayim minayin. How do you know about the generations which are going to follow, or the gerim which are in the future, they're going to come and gemi mitkayer? So Tomulumar comes to teach you v'tasher nenu po imanu, right? The ones that are not with us today. Right, which means the Shevuah is going to be chala even on all the other ones that are not here, which are going to only give birth later on, but their neshamot were here, and so on and so forth. So he comes and he says, "Ve'en li ela mitzvah shekibu alem Har Sinai." Okay, fine, that's maybe a mitzvah which came in Har Sinai. What about mitzvot al tidol lechadesh? What about any mitzvah which is going to be in the future, which is going to be new? For example, Mikra Megillah. Mikra Megillah only came afterwards, so they didn't come by Har Sinai, right? So therefore, how in the world are they going to come? And they're going to accept this upon themselves. Minayin. What does that mean? It says that they accepted upon themselves that which was already accepted. What does that mean? When it comes and it says kiyemu, they fulfill these words. They fulfill these words which they already accepted upon beforehand. So for the mamash, it was like nitchadesh me'achshav. Mamash, like they renew their acceptance. So what does it mean now? My afhibil shonanemra. What does it mean that the Shevuat Dayanim was said in any language? So says the Gemara, as we learned in the Mishnah, Elu ne'emarim b'chol lashon. There are certain things which are going to be said in any language, right? Parashat Sotah. Imagine you have a woman. She comes to Bedin. If she doesn't understand the entire Parashat Sotah, what does it help? So she has to understand. So you have to say it in any language that she should understand. So Parashat Sotah, Vidui Ma'aser, the same thing. When you're going to be obligated to give Vidui Ma'asrot on Erev Pesach on the 4th year of Shemitah, right? Or on Erev Pesach of the Shnat Shemitah, after you did the Tumot Ma'asrot, right? So he comes and he says, again, you have to say this Nusach, and this Nusach has to be said in any language that you understand. Kriyat Shema, Tefillah, Birkat Hamazon, Shevuat HaEdut, Shevuat HaPikadon. So all these things are passages which have to be said in a language that you understand. You have to understand what you're saying.
The prerequisite for about whatever you're about to.
Exactly. But you have to understand it, though.
Of course.
Yeah, 100%. So he says, V'kamar nami. So we say, Shevuat Dayanin, af Hibirishona Nimra. So Shevuat Dayanin also, meaning when the Betin are going to come and make you swear, you have to understand the ramifications of your actions, right? Because if not, then people don't understand. So they said a whole thing in Hebrew, and then okay, I'm gonna. So they don't know. Did you just no? Yeah, you understand what you're saying. You understand what you're doing. You have to make sure. So Amar Mor, 1 minute. Yeah. So he says, Amar Mor. So Mor says, right? Omrin lo. So they're going to come and they're going to tell him, right? So, right, they're going to come, they're going to tell him. You should know that the entire world was nizda'za. Mamash, it trembled, it shook. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, right, Lo tisar Hashem Hashem Elokecha lashav. My time, what's the reasoning? Why is it that the entire world shook? If you're going to tell me then, because it was given on the Har Sinai, so I said, so one second, what's the difference between that and the 10 Commandments? Meaning, why are you telling me that only this commandment, right, is the one that shook the world and not all the other ones? If it's because of the 10 Commandments, they're all the same. So what's the difference? Why is it only this one? Ve'ela, but rather, because it's very, very powerful. So it says the Gemara, Umi Chamira? You're going to tell me, is it that powerful? But tonight we learned in the Braita. Eluhen, listen carefully. He says, Eluhen kalot. What are the kalot exactly? Aseh velo ta'aseh. All the positive commandments or negative commandments. Obviously, we're talking about positive commandments and negative commandments that do not have another punishment to it. Right? Chutz mi lotisa. Right? Except for lotisa. What does that mean? Because even though there's no karet and mitah betin, right? It's not going to be annulled just with teshuvah. Chamurot. What are chamurot? Kritutu mitah betin. So he says over here, right? This is going to be kritut, anything which is karet or anything which is mitah betin. And lotisa is actually part of it. So it says it's not more chamur than the kritutu mitah betin. Meaning like this. Remember that we have different levels of mitzvot and avirot, right? And that's, by the way, that's even secular. Lavdila lefavdalo, the secular also has that. You have different punishments, right? And different, we're going to say counts or different things that when your person is going to come and they're going to do. So therefore, what we have to come and we have to understand though is, right, is that when we're speaking about, right, this entire concept, right? Again, we're talking about a concept which is very, very important, which is what is the level or the gravity of different mitzvot or avirot. So obviously, I'm going to see, according to the punishment, what exactly is the level of the law. Meaning, if I'm going to come and I'm going to tell you, listen, what's the punishment? You pay a fine. So you're going to say, okay, no. I'm going to tell you, what's the punishment? A few years in jail. Okay, no. Or even better, community service. Okay, no. What that? Jail. Then you're going to go capital death penalty. Whoa. Meaning that you know, right, that according to the level of you've got the death penalty, you've got life sentence, then you've got, right, jail time, then you've got community service, and then you understand? Meaning you've got different levels. So according to the levels of, right, of what are you doing, so that's what's going to happen. So here he comes and he says, obviously, you're not going to tell me that this is worse than kritutu mitah betin, because the kritutu mitah betin is a much higher level, right? Because obviously that's a higher level. So he says, Ela barada, kedektani tama, just like we learned the reasoning. What does that mean? We said, velo chol averot shebatorah neemar behem v'nakeh, v'kan neemar lo yinakeh. What does that mean? The reason why is because we already said that the reason why is not because it was given on Har Sinai, because if not, all the 10 commandments were given on Har Sinai. And it's not because it's going to be more chamur from the averot, because we already explained that it's not more chamur than the chamurot. It could be it's with them, but it's not more chamur than them, because it's written kritutu mitah betin and lotisa is with them, but it's not that lotisa is worse than a mitah betin or kritut, but rather he comes and he says because of the concept of the nikayon, the cleansing process. Meaning when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come and he's going to cleanse, right, it's going to be a completely different halakha, right, because of how he's going to cleanse the human being when he's going to come And he's going to do this. So he says, 1 second. Are you going to tell me that none of the averot in the Torah are written lo yinakeh? It's written v'nakeh lo yinakeh. What does that mean? The fact that it says v'nakeh lo yinakeh is mashma, right? That it's not menukeh bichlal, right? At all. So he says, no. Hahu mibayele, here he needs it for Rabbi Lazar. The Tanya was we learned in a Braita. Rabbi Lazar says, I efshar lomar v'nakeh. You cannot come and tell me that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always going to say v'nakeh, because it already says lo yinakeh. Now you can't tell me it's Iyavshar shelo yinakeh, because he does say v'nakeh. Meaning, decide, does Hashem cleanse you? Is he minakeh otcha she'achshav ata naki? Right? Or not? Yes or no? If you're going to tell me yes, but it says lo nekeh. If you're going to tell me no, it says v'nakeh. So you have to decide. So how is HaKadosh Baruch Hu then? So he comes and he says, haketzad, minakeh u l'shavim, ve'eno minakeh l'she'enem shavim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is always going to be minakeh for the shavim b'tshuva, even without yisurim. But he's not going to be minakeh l'she'en and shavim, right? Because at the end of the day, if they don't do teshuvah, he's not going to cleanse them. But somebody that's going to be hanishba l'sheker, HaKadosh, even if the person doesn't do teshuvah, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is lo minakeh. That means that's why it's a special din, right? By the concept of somebody that's going to come, right, and he's going to swear falsely. Right? Again, this is what we're talking about until now. Okay? So says the Gemara, very good. Kol averot shebatorah nifarim mimenu, vekan mimenu mishpachto. We said that all the averot in the Torah, they're going to pay somebody back only from him. Here, though, by false testimony, they're going to pay back from him and from his family. So says the Gemara, vechol averot shebatorah mishpachto lo. Are you going to tell me that all the averot in the Torah, it's only going to be from his family? He says, "V'aktiv," it's written, "V'samti ani et panai ba'ish ahuv mishpachto," that I'm going to come and I'm going to place my face in this person and his family. So v'tanya, we learned in a Braita, Amar Rabbi Shimon, imu chata mishpachto machatat. He says, 1 second, if he sinned, what did his family do? Why are you going to punish the family for what he did? So he says, lomar lecha, to tell you, right, that en lecha mishpacha sheyesh ba moches, she'en kula mochzin. He says it's not going to be that you have a family that there's one guy that he's collecting the taxes kilu, right? That he's not going to be not like anybody else. Shen kulam, that all of them are the same, right? What does that mean? So he says, "Ve'lecha mishpacha sheyesh ba listim, shen kula listim." You're not going to tell me that there's a guy that he's a thief, and all the entire thing is the thieves. Why? Because it comes out that they protect him, and the fact that they protect him, it comes out that they are helping for the sinners, and since they're helping for the sin, so they're accomplices, right? And therefore they're going to come and they're going to be, how do you call this? They're going to be punished, right, as well. Why? Because obviously we're talking about, right, he says that since the majority of the families, they do know, that's why he says, again, it's ruba kikula. There does exist cases where they don't know, but the majority of the families, right, they know and they're just covering up. So the cover-ups, that in itself is going to be a problem. So the Gemara answers, Hatam bedina charina, hacha bedina didei. He says over there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes and he's going to pay back from the mishpacha, right? From the mishpacha, again, with the punishment. Hacha bedina didei. But here, it's going to be with his punishment. Kedetanya, as we learned, right? Which means, usually, when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to come and pay back from the family with the onesh, right? It's going to be more kal than the onesh of the person that actually did it. But here, it's the same punishment. Meaning, usually, the guy that does the avira, he will get X. But the family, right, so you call them the accomplices and everybody else, they're going to get Y. Why? It's severe, but it's not the same thing. I'm not going to say that he was the one that robbed the bank. I'm going to say, yeah, he was an accomplice. He knew about it. He kept quiet. He didn't do anything about it, or he didn't. So, okay, but it's a lower level. Here, it's the exact same punishment. Right? It's the exact same punishment. Okay, 1 second. The Tanya was learned to the Braita. Rabbi Omer, vichrati oto. What does that mean now when he says that I'm going to cut him off? What does it come to teach you? The fish, since it's something I would have thought to say, the entire family gets karet. So he says, oto bi karet, velo, right? Kol mishpacha kula bi karet. Okay? Now, we said already there's another thing also. Until here, all the averot of the Torah, right, they're going to pay back the choteh only. And here it's from him and the entire world. Why? Because it says, he says no. So it says the Gemara like this. You're going to tell me that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is only going to pay back, right? Not from the entire world. It's written, right? Meaning, just like every single Jew is responsible for each other, so therefore the entire world will be punished. Meaning, we are going to be punished if there's a Jew that's not fulfilling his Torah mitzvot somewhere else. We are also punished, right? Again, why? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, you guys are responsible for each other. So therefore, why is it only by Shevuos Sheket? It's by anything. Right? 39b. So answers the Gemara, Hatam over there, Sheyesh bi'adam limchot velo michu. We're talking about that they have the opportunity to be mocheh, to rebuke, and they didn't rebuke. Meaning, when I come and I see another Jew doing an averah, I have to rebuke him. And if I do not rebuke him, I'm punished for him.
That's why when you have a chance to lekared Yehudi, you don't take it, you also get punished.
My Ika, that's what we just read. My Ika, what is the difference between Rishaim, the Mishpachto, Rishaim de Alma? Right? He says, what's the difference then between the Rishaim, right? And when we're talking about the Puranut, which are coming in the Rishaim of the family members, or the Rishaim themselves, right? Which are not going to be, right? Basically the Rishaim that are not his family members. Or Ben Sadikim the Mishpachto, Sadikim de Alma. So he says like this, Hu Bishara Verot Bedineh. Urshaim de mishpacha bedin chamur. So he says, right, like this: the person that did the avirah, he gets his punishment. Yeah, Hashem will find his punishment, and that's going to be his punishment. The other ones, which are basically the rishaim of the mishpacha, they also get a strict punishment, but it's lesser. It's less. It's not as strict as the original punishment. Meaning, it's going to be watered down. The rishaim de alma. Now, we're talking about the other Rishaim of the world, right? Bedin Akal is even a lower level because they weren't even Mishpachto. So therefore, it's going to be one level below as well. Tzadike dehacha ve'acha petire. Now, the tzadikim, they're always going to be patur from Onish. Legabe shevuahu, right? Now, when a person's going to come and he's going to swear falsely, hu Rishaim de mishpacha kedineh. Him and his family members get the same punishment. V'reshaim de alma is din chamur, and the tzadikeh de acha ve'acha is din akal. Meaning like this, something incredible. You have the rasha. The rasha is the culprit, the one that did the action. You have his family members. Then you have the reshaim of the world, right? And then you have the tzadikim of the world. So each one gets judged, right? In a case of a regular avirah, each one gets judged differently. So the rasha, the culprit, gets his punishment. The family, one lower. The Rishaim of the world, meaning not his family, one lower less, which is the Kal. The Tzadikim do not get nothing, wallow. However, though, when it's to do a Shevuos Sheket, right, I have to actually put the top two are the strict ones. Meaning, it's not only the culprit, it's the culprit and his family that get his punishment, the exact same punishment. You go one level down, so the Sheim de Alma. The Sheim de Alma, they're going to get, again, a strict punishment, but one lower level. And then the Tzadikim are going to be the Kal. But they do get punished. But the Kal. Meaning here you see that the Lotisat Shem Hashem Lokecha L'Shav, meaning any type of a Shevuos Shav is going to be used, it's actually a higher form of a punishment than just a regular Avirah. This is what we just said now. Okay? Fine. Im amar eni nishba. So we just said before in the Gemara, if a person comes and he says, I'm not going to swear, so potrino tomiyad, right? V'im amar, and if he says that in nishba, he's going to come and he's going to swear. They're going to come and they're going to say, right? Please remove yourselves from the tents, right, of these Rishaim. That's actually what's brought down to do with Moshe Rabbeinu speaking about the people of Korach, Vadato, that he comes and he says, everyone move away from them, because the ground was going to come and swallow them alive. So he says like this, he says, I understand that this guy is going to come and he's going to do an isur of being nishbala sheker. So therefore he's called a rasha. Amai. Why is the guy that's causing him to make the Shevuah, why is he a rasha? I come to Bet Din and I'm going to force you to make a vow. Let's say even you're a rasha because Chas v'Shalom, you're going to come and you're going to vow falsely. Why am I the rasha? I'm demanding something that I needed. Why am I the rasha? I understand the guy that's swearing falsely is a Rasha. Yes, obviously. But the guy that's making him swear, why? So says the Gemara, Keretanya, but the Gemara is going to explain, Rabbi Shimon ben Tarfon omer, Shevuat Hashem tiye ben shnehem. Melamed shechala shevua al shnehem. Meaning that even if the Tanat Tovea is emet, meaning the guy that's demanding, he's actually 100% truthful. He didn't do anything. He should have been more medaktek to give the money to a person which is more ne'eman. And then since he was not medaktek, he causes a chilul Hashem through Shevuat Sheker, and therefore he's also called a Rasha. Meaning, ki'ilu, you are the accomplice in the fact that you gave the money to somebody that's not trustworthy, and now he's going to swear falsely and cause a chilul Hashem to the Shevuat Sheker. So even though you are saying 100% emet, and you're demanding something which be'emet magia lecha, it's yours. The fact that you are not medaktek to give it to a person that's trustworthy, you also get punished. That's why you're called a Rasha, he says over here, which is, I think, an incredible yisod. Yeah? Fine. The next two dots says, Ukshe mashpin. No, you have to be meticulous. You have to be very precise in all your actions.
So there's always a chance that you're going to...
Says the two dots, the Gemara says like this. We were talking about in the Mishnah, וכשהיו משפיעים אותו, they used to tell him, right, ויודע שלא על דעתך. That means they're not going to do it on your da'at. They're going to do it on da'at המקום and da'at bedin. So why do you have to say that? So he says, Mishum Kanya de Rava, because of the case of Kanya de Rava. You remember the Kaneh of Rava? What happened was that somebody went and he borrowed $100. What happened was that the guy was going to demand him in Bedin the $100. So what he did is that he took a reed and he made it hollow. A reed, kaneh. Okay? He took a stick, if you want, for you. Yeah, a stick, thick stick, right? He made it hollow. Yeah, and then he puts the plug. Now inside the stick, he put the money. And he goes to the guy and he tells him, can you hold this for me? Right? I'm going, and all of a sudden he's called to Bedin. And he comes to Bedin, right? And the Bedin say, yeah, you know that you borrowed $100. Of course I did. So give him back the money. I give him back the money. He says, what are you talking? No, you never gave me back the money. Yes, I give you back the money. Back for no. He swears that he gave him back the money. Yeah, he swears. He goes. He leaves Bedin. He's patur. Bedin have no clue what's going on. Listen, I swore on Bedin. Obviously, he's 100% exempt. You understand? And then what happens? He comes back. He says, by the way, can you give me back my stick? Okay, fine. Takes a stick. Walks home. Takes out the money.
Okay, so what's the...
So because of that abarja, right, because of that trick, right, the kanunya, we say, no, when you swear, you have to swear not on dat atzmecha. Because when this guy swore, he was thinking, כאילו אני נשבע לאמת שאני שילמתי לו בחזרה. אבל אתה לא שילמת לו בחזרה. אתה עשית אברג'ה, אתה לא שילמת כלום. Right? You went and you gave it back to him in his possession just to watch it over, and then you took it back. That's not paying him back. So therefore, when you're swearing, you're not swearing on your dat. You're swearing on dat hamakom and on dat hakadosh baruch hu. Okay, fine. Ta'ana. You remember we spoke about that when a person comes and he makes a ta'ana, it has to be minimum of shte kesef. Meaning, when you're coming to a bedin, there has to be a minimum in order to make a person swear. It has to be a minimum of 2 kesef, meaning value, minimum value, in order for them to come to make somebody swear. Okay? Amar Rav. Rav comes and he says, Kfirat ta'ana is b'shte kesef. When you're going to come and you're going to be, right, kofer on a ta'ana, it has to have the value of shte kesef. Okay? Now, ta'anat nitba himself could be even less than shte kesef, right, to pruta. In order the kfira should be minimum of shte ma'ot kesef. Right? Ushmuel aman, and Shmuel says, no, ta'ana tzma is shte kesef, afilu lo kafar le pruta. Meaning, basically this, how much do you need to demand, and how much do you need in order to be kofer? So, according to the first shita, which is Rav, he says kfirat ta'ana has to be shte ma'ot kesef. So, if the kfira is 2 ma'ot kesef, so how much is the ta'ana itself? So, it has to be minimum of shte ma'ot kesef and a pruta, because it has to be that I'm demanding you more than what you're kofer. So, there's the demand, and then there's the kfira. Shmuel says the ta'ana itself is shte kesef, but the kfira could even be 1 pruta. he says, "Ela bepruta velo oda lo ela pruta." He's still going to be chayav a shvua. Meaning, even on one pruta, you're going to be chayav. So Amar Rava comes and he says, "Dai kamatzidin kavate de Rav, ukrai kavate de Shmuel." Do you know the Mishnah is more? You could deduce from the Mishnah more like Rav, like the opinion of Rav, but the pasuk is more like Shmuel. He says, "Why?" Dai kamatzidin kavate de Rav. We're going to say that it's going to be like Rav. Diktani ta'ana shte kesef avoda shte vepruta. V'ilu kfirat ta'ana pruta lo ktani. We didn't say anything. Meaning we never spoke about the pruta. Utznanami, we also learned in another Mishnah. Haoda b'pruta, v'ilu kfira b'pruta lo ktani. The oda is going to be pruta. We never talk about the kfira and pruta. So therefore it comes out that the Mishnah, whether it's the Mishnah b'metzia or our Mishnah, is more like that the shiur of kfira is not pruta, it has to be shtemaot. So therefore the Mishnayot are like who? Like Rav. Ukrae. Like Kavate de Shmuel. Just close the book. Yeah. So the pasuk is like Shmuel. Yichtiv, as it says in a pasuk, Kiten ish reu kesef uchelim mishmor. He says, when you're going to give it to a person where there's going to be kesef uchelim to watch over, ma kelim shnaim, just like kelim is always a double, it's plural. So tu kesef has to be plural, shnaim. Ma kesef devar chashuv has to be something chashuv. So tu has to be devar chashuv. The kama rachmana, so the Torah says, ki hu zeh. What does that mean? Chelek zeh ani chayav lecha. And Hashani, I'm not chayav lecha. So if you're going to tell me now that the modeh b'miktzat is only part of it, so it comes out that even if it's going to be kafar less than shtemaot, it's still going to be chayav. So it's mashma like Shmuel from the pasuk. So Rav comes and he says, Haomi baile, when it says in the pasuk ki uzeh, the zeh is coming to teach you odah b'miktzat ta'ana. Ushmuel, but Shmuel comes and he says, Ktiv, it's written, right? Hu ki hu zeh, and it's written zeh. Why do you need both? The kafar b'miktzat ve'odah b'miktzat chayav. If you were kofer in part of it, partial rejection, but you also admitted him partially, you're going to be chayav. The Rav, and he comes and he says, Chad le'odah b'miktzat ta'ana v'chad le'odat mimina ta'ana. There's two different things. There's hoda'at b'miktzat ta'ana, and then there's hoda'at mimina ta'ana. You remember we brought down that there's two things. One of them is in the same ta'ana, but partially. I come and I tell you, Yomi $100. You say, no, it's only 50. So that's going to be a partial admittance. Now there's another one, which is it has to be from the same minatana. Meaning if I come and I tell you barley and you're telling me wheat, it's, right, it's two completely different things. So he comes and he says, Shmuel, and Shmuel says, Lav mimela shavim mila. We already learned that. Techasrala, because it's already going to be chaser, part of the ta'ana, right? Even without something extra. Elmaleh Rav, rather Rav is going to tell you, kesef kiata meikara, when you have kesef, which is at the beginning, likfira udeata, it's coming to teach you about kfira. Timken, but if so, lichtov rachmana, the Torah should have said, kiteni shel reu kelim mishmon, va'ana amina, and I'm going to say, ma kelim shnaim, just like it's going to be two, so it's going to be two. Right? Kesef, idichtav rachmana l'amali, so why do I need that then? If I don't need it for the ta'ana, which is going to be the two kesef, so take it for the kfira, right? Which is also going to be kiteni shel reu kesef, so therefore it's going to be the tviyah. So therefore, since you're going to tell me that it's going to be extra, I'm going to say that it's going to be ta'anat kfira. Shmuel Amar, and Shmuel says, right? Lach, Shmuel is going to tell you, Ikatav Rachmana, if the Torah would have said kelim, and it wouldn't have told us kesef, Hava Amina, I would have thought to say, what is kelim? Two. I've called two, so it always has to be two things. Aval davar chashuv lo bainim, you don't need something chashuv. Kamashvalan, when it tells you now kesef, it comes to teach you that it also needs to be something which is going to be chashuv. It can't just be two different things. I'm going to tell you it's going to be 2 pennies or 2 whatever it is. No. It's not only just a number. It's not a numbers game. It has to be also something which is going to be, right, chashuv. How do you know that? You have it from the Mishnah. Tanan. Shte ma'ot kesef yesh li biyadcha. If a person comes and he says, I've got 2 ma'ot kesef in your hands. The other one comes and he says, it's only a pruta. It's going to be patur. My time, what's the reasoning? La mishum de chasra lecha ta'ana. Is it not because we're lacking the part of the ta'ana? The tiyuvta de Shmuel, and this is again a tiyuvta against Shmuel, because again, he said that the ta'ana itself has to be minimum of 2 ma'ot kesef, not the kfira. So he comes and he says, Amar lecha Shmuel, Shmuel is going to tell you, misavra chavek tani. Are you going to tell me that this is what we're talking about? Right? Davka ktani. We're not saying it has to be something which is value. It has to be specifically. Meaning is to tavad the kesef, which is the mishkal of shte ma'ot, not the actual, and then he's going to come and he's going to be modeh with a pruta. What he was demanding, I wasn't modeh. And what I was modeh, you weren't demanding. So it's not the same thing. So if so, Ema Seifa, let's say the Seifa. The Seifa says, Shte kesef upruta yesh li biyadcha. Yeah, so he comes and he says, Shte kesef upruta yesh li biyadcha. En lecha biyadi ele pruta. You only have a pruta. So, Iyam Rabbi Shammai, if you're going to tell me now it's going to be shaveh, so mishum hachi, because of that, you're going to be chayav a shavua, because it's the same mina ta'ana, it's the same species of the ta'ana. But if you're going to tell me dafka that it has to be exactly that we're talking about the kesef and the nechoshet mamash, so why are you going to be chayav? What you asked for, which was the kesef, you weren't even modeh b'miktzat, and what you were modeh b'miktzat, which is the nechoshet, you didn't ask for. Meaning nechoshet and kesef zelo to davar. So when you're asking for something, it's not the same thing. So he comes and he says, Midu Tamar, are you going to tell me that's only for Shemuel? Rav Nachman says the name is Shemuel, Te'ano chitinu seorim ve'odalo bechamen, you're going to be chayav. Meaning, according to him, right, he's always going to say that it is considered mimina tana. Because according to him, kesef and nechoshet is the same thing. Meaning, I would have thought to say that a penny is made out of copper, right? And the nickel, right, is made out of silver. So I would have thought to say that really be'emet zelo to davar. He comes and says, Shitat Shemuel is oto davar. Just like chitin v'seorin is oto davar, because at the end of the day we're talking about grains, and all the grains it's a type of a grain. So too the copper and they're all called metals, and therefore it's all considered the same in metals. The hachanam mistabra, that's also logical to say that. Militari seifa, was we learned to the seifa litra zahav yeshim yadcha. I've got a liter of zahav. En lecha biyadi kesef. He said, no, I only have a liter of kesef. So he's going to be patur. Why? If you're going to tell me davka ktani, he's going to be patur, because at the end of the day, I only admitted to you in kesef, not zav. But if you're going to tell me that it's just value, why are you going to be patur? So he says, elami the seifa davka. So he says litra tuvav. It's even much more, right? So he says, elami the seifa davka, they should nami davka. From the fact that the seifa is going to be dafka, that he was mamash on, everything is to do with the hoda'ah, and everything is to do with mamash, the same exact thing. So to the reisha. So he says that's a question against Rav. So Rav is going to tell you, kula matnitin shaveh. The entire Mishnah is only talking about things which are shaveh the matbeot. It's not, we're not talking about the actual matbeot. Meaning it's not that I'm asking you for 2 coins and you're giving me 1 coin in the pruta. No. Everything has to do with value, right? It's not talking about the actual coins in itself. It's value. I'm asking you for 2 coins value of, I don't know what, gold. And you're telling me of also of gold, but of the value. We're not talking about the actual coins in itself. Kula matnitin shaveh. Litra zahav shani, but it's going to be litra zahav is going to be different, right? He says, because it's not a matbeh at all. Meaning, when you say a litra of zahav, it's actual gold. It's not coins. It's not value of coins. It's actual gold. And then he's going to come and he's going to bring a proof to what we just mentioned.